Hello friends, welcome back to this series of lecture. Today in this lecture we are going to discuss design of singly reinforced beams. This is lecture number 12 in this series. So we are going to start in this lecture with the design steps of singly reinforced beam. So while discussing this design of singly reinforced sections, we have to consider that the cases for design may be with respect to some given data. The data will be given in the form of sometimes we may be provided with the load coming on the beam. It may be dead load, it may be live load, sometimes it may be given only dead load, sometimes it may be given live load, sometimes it may be given dead load plus live load, factored loads, unfactored load. So based on the given data, we have to interpret that data and accordingly we have to design the section. Now designing this section means what? The design is nothing but that we have to decide the dimensions of the beam for the given loading conditions. And after determining the dimensions, then we have to find out the reinforcement. Sufficient amount of reinforcement should be provided. So that is nothing but the design. So let us consider this design process here. So for this, we are considering here that the given data will be the load or the beam sizes and the materials. Sometimes, as I told you, that the load may be given and the load may be dead load or live load or dead load plus live load, or sometimes the beam sizes itself may be given, just like the what is the width of beam, depth of beam sometimes may be provided along with the live load, so that you can calculate the dead load and live load, and effectively you will be able to find out the actual total load coming on that beam. And then based on that load, you will be able to find out the steel or the reinforcement required based on the given materials, that is what grade of concrete is to be used and what grade of steel is to be used. So based on this data, we'll be able to design the beam by using some simple steps. So let us discuss all those steps one by one. So step number one is to find out the design constants. Now here the design constants are nothing but the whatever data we have been provided. Based on that data, we have to just get the design constants or the standard formulas what we have used previously or what we have derived previously. The same values we have to consider in the design process. So that is nothing but the design constants. So just like as we know that for the grades of steel, the values of limiting depth of neutral axis and limiting moment is given. So for the balance sections, we have to consider the XU limiting and the MU limiting values. So for these different grades of steel, these values have been provided. So accordingly, we have to consider the values for XU limiting and values for MU limiting as standards or design constants. So this is step number one. Step number two is in step number two, we have to calculate the loads. Okay. So suppose if the loads are not given and only the dimensions of a beam are given, so in that case, you can assume the live load and you have to calculate the dead load based on the dimensions. Or sometimes the live load is also is provided and the dimensions of beam may be provided. So in that case, you have to add the self weight of that beam and the live load to get the total load. And sometimes only load will be given and you have to decide the dimensions. So in that case, we have to find out the dimensions first and then we have to find out the reinforcement. So let us consider here that the load calculations, and as we know that mainly the loads which are coming on any structure are live load. It is also referred as imposed load, and which can be obtained from IS 875 part 2. Then we have to calculate the dead load. Dead load is the self weight of the beam, or sometimes this dead load will be the self weight of the walls which are to be supported by the beam. So all this dead load of wall and dead load of beam should be considered. This can be obtained from IS 875 part 1, in which the unit weights have been given for the different materials. So for the beam, if we know the dimensions, that is width of beam and overall depth of beam and the length of beam, then we can calculate the weight of this total beam by knowing the unit weights. Okay, so for plain cement concrete, this unit weight of concrete will be considered as 24 kilonewton per meter cube, and for reinforced cement concrete, that value should be considered as 25 kilonewton per meter cube as per IS 875 part 1. Now after getting these two loads, then we have to calculate the total load which is to be carried by the beam. So total load will be equals to dead load plus live load. That will be denoted by capital W, which is represented in kilonewton per meter, because we are considering this load as a UDL on the beam. So that's why we are taking this value as kilonewton per meter. We are neglecting this length, or we can take only unit width or unit length of the beam, not width, unit length of the beam. Then, as we know that we have to apply the partial safety factor for the loads as specified by the IS 456 as given in this table. The partial safety factors for different load cases we have to consider. As here in this case, we are considering the dead load plus live load only, or dead load plus imposed load only. So for these two combinations, we have to consider the partial safety factor as 1.5 for limit state of collapse, which we are discussing right now. For limit state of serviceability, this factor is only 1. So there is no need to uh, update the value by this factor of safety. It will be automatically get satisfied if your limit state of collapse is satisfied. So we have to apply this partial safety factor to get the factored load. So for obtaining this factored load WU, we have to multiply the W with factor of safety for loads, which is 1.5 as per the table. This factored load is sometimes also referred as ultimate load, or it is also referred as design load. Now suppose we have to design a simply supported singly reinforced section, and which is having a span of L meter, and which is subjected to this factored load as a UDL. So in this case, we know that the maximum bending moment which can be developed in this beam will be of parabolic nature, and the maximum value or maximum bending moment will occur at the midspan of this beam. So that will be the M max, and that value of M max can be calculated by using relation WL square by 8. So here W, that is the load acting on this beam, which is WU kilonewton per meter. So that's why we are taking the MU, that is maximum bending moment, or here you can call it as ultimate bending moment, because we are applying the ultimate load or factored load here. So that's why MU will be equals to WUL square by 8. So from this you will get the maximum bending moment, and this maximum bending moment is to be beared by the beam, or is to be sustained by the beam. Or in other words, or in simple language, we can say that we have to design the beams in such a way that the beam can carry this moment effectively. Okay. Then in step number 3, we are going to find out the depth which is to be suitable to carry the given moment or the calculated ultimate moment. Now as we know that the maximum moment which is to be developed in that beam is mu, as we have calculated in last step. And we know that the limiting moment, or the moment that can be carried by the beam, is given by mu limiting. So if we equate these two values, that is maximum bending moment and the limiting bending moment, so we'll be able to get the depth. Why? Because we know that the mu limiting for different grades of steel can be calculated by using one relation. Some relations we have discussed. So for Fe415 grade of steel, as we know that the value of mu limiting is equals to 0.138 FCK BD square. So as we know that the value of mu we have already calculated in previous step. The FCK, that is grade of concrete, is given in the problem. The value of B that we can assume, and the only unknown value here is the D. So based on this we have to, or will be able to get the value of D. Okay, we have to find out the value of D, and based on that we have to find out the overall D. So overall D is nothing but that we have to add the effective cover to the effective depth, and that effective cover will be equals to clear cover plus half of the bar diameter. And the value of this clear cover can be obtained from IS 456 table number 16, which gives you the values for the different environmental exposure conditions. So by knowing these values, we have to get the appropriate nominal cover for the reinforcement with respect to exposure conditions or environmental exposure conditions. We have to take the appropriate value for the beam, and we have to select an bar diameter, appropriate bar diameter, and we'll get the value of capital D, that is overall D. And as I told you that the value of B we can assume. Normally this value will be taken in between 200 to 300 millimeters, and mostly the value of this B will be equals to thickness of wall. And as we know that normally for the exterior walls we are using the thickness equals to 230 mm. So we can take the value of B as 230 mm, or you may take this value as in between 200 to 300. Sometimes this value may be taken as B, or half the depth of beam, effective depth of beam. Okay. So in this way, here we have got the value of D, that is overall depth, and we have got the value of B, that is the section sizes are known to us now. We know the section sizes, what is the B and what is D. Now only we have to find out is the amount of reinforcement. So in step number 4, we are going to find out the area of steel required. So this, to find out this area of steel required, we have to equate the Cu with Tu, that is compressive force and tensile force. And we have already derived the equations for this. Cu is nothing but 0.36 FCK XU into B, and Tu is nothing but 0.87 Fy into AST. So here again you can see clearly that the grade of concrete is known to us. XU we can calculate based on the formula for the Fy value. B already we have calculated. Again Fy is given, only the unknown value is AST. So we can easily calculate that AST by equating these two values. So AST will be equals to 136 FCK XU into B upon 0.87 Fy. So you can calculate the area of tensile steel required by using this formula or this relation. One more relation is also used for calculating the area of tensile steel. That relation is equals to, that is AST is equals to 0.5 FCK upon Fy into bracket 1 minus under root 1 minus 4.6 mu upon FCK BD square bracket complete B into D. This formula we can use for the under reinforced sections to find out the area of tensile steel. Now in step number 5, we have to check the steel what we have calculated as per the codal provisions. As per the provisions of IS 456, IS 456 specifies that the conditions should be satisfied for the minimum reinforcement to be provided and the maximum reinforcement to be provided. So as per the IS 456, the minimum area of steel that we can provide is having some limit, that is AST minimum as per the clause number 26.5.2. As per the clause number 26.5.1.1a of IS 456, the minimum reinforcement of the tensions reinforcement will be equals to AST. Just I am representing this term here in a simple way, that is AST minimum will be equals to or should be equals to 0.85 BD upon Fy. It should be equals to or it shall not be less than, actually as per the codal provision, that this value shall not be less than this value. It may be more than that, but the whatever amount of steel that you are going to provide, it shall not be less than this value. That's why we are calling it as a AST minimum, that is minimum reinforcement we have to provide. We have to ensure that in a beam this much amount of reinforcement should be always provided. Okay, so by using this we have to calculate the AST minimum. Now similarly, IS specifies in the same clause about the maximum area of steel also. So as per the provisions of IS 456 clause number 26.5.1.1b, the maximum reinforcement or the maximum area of reinforcement shall not exceed 0.004 BD. Okay, so that's why AST max should be equals to 0.00. So AST max should be equals to 0.04 times B into capital D. That is the overall cross-sectional area, or you can say that this value should not be more than 4% of EG, that is gross cross-sectional area of the beam. Okay, this value should not be more than, it should not be more than 0.04 BD. Okay, this check we have to compulsorily perform, and accordingly the steel we have to provide. It means that whatever amount of steel that you have to provide, that steel should be in between AST minimum and AST maximum, or you can say that the amount of area of steel provided should be more than AST minimum and should be less than AST maximum. Okay, accordingly we have to provide the steel. Now we have to provide the steel means what? That we have to assume the bar diameter, suitable bar diameter, and by assuming that bar diameter we have to calculate the number of bars. Okay, so this number of bars can be calculated by using relation number of bars n will be equals to area of steel calculated or area of steel required divided by area of one bar. So by using this relation you will get the number of bars. This number of bars mostly will get in fractions, so we have to round up that value to the higher order. And the last step is the summary, or you can say the short or small sketch of the reinforcement provided in a sizes or in a given sizes of the beam or the determined sizes of the beam. So these are the steps for the design of singly reinforced beam. Some minor revisions or minor alterations should be done as per the given data. Sometimes in the problem, the only bending moments may be given, directly bending moments may be given, and you have to design the section. Sometimes in the problem, the dead load and live load is provided. So in that case, we have to first find out the depth by equating the mu with mu limiting. So that for that we have to calculate the moment. So in this way we'll be able to derive the required amount of reinforcement, and at the same time we'll be able to derive the sizes of the beam. So we'll stop here for the day. In next lecture we'll discuss one numerical based on these design steps. Thank you. If you like this video, don't forget to hit on the like button, and also if you have not subscribed this channel till now, then please subscribe to this channel and also share this channel and videos with your friends. Thank you.